Yes, as you can see.
Hallelujah. Woo!
Yes,
That's the
Mark
action
Landvik,
opener.
Travis Rice, yours truly, Salema Mabena Masekela. Welcome, friends, to the Art of Flight viewing party. Most of us around the world are stuck in our homes right now, so we figured, you know what? If we're here at home, let's have some fun. Let's celebrate some of the greatest moments that have gotten us to where we are. And I think in our culture, we're always waiting for like the new thing. What's coming out today? What's coming out tomorrow? This time of us having to be in real pause is allowing us across all different aspects of culture, music, film, television, etc., to stop and be like, hey, some really great things that have happened to help us get to where we are today. And this moment right here, September 8th, 2011, when the art of flight dropped, changed the landscape of how the entire planet looks at snowboarding. And I'm excited, Travis and Mark, that you guys would join us and give the fans what they want. I mean, all of social
Yes,
media has been
sir.
fired up about this really cool, intimate look at this project. I want to know, Travis, what was it about the other films that you'd made leading up to this that made you think, all right, you know what, we can go to a complete other level and make Art of Flight.
Well, I appreciate it. It's beautiful to see you too, and I think even just the lead up, the last few weeks, and kind of wrapping our heads around, what a retrospective kind of live watch and the things that we wanted to touch on. It's been a very memorable process, and has definitely brought up a lot of old epic memories. So many people worked on this project. Uh, it's not. We're going to try to fit it all into this particular piece. But as far as the lead up to this film, I mean, I think it really goes. For me, it goes way back. It goes back to being super interested in film and loving snowboarding, and somehow finding myself in a position as a career of mine. And so I got to apprentice under a lot of great filmmakers, spending years with Justin Hosnick and the Absinthe team. My particular filmer, Rich Goodwin, who I spent a decade with learning about film, and Kurt Morgan as well, who I was on a snowboard team with him when we were age 19, and we kind of grew up and evolved together. And he took it deep. I mean, he's a filmmaker, musician. Ended up in California, working with the Grenade Glove Squad. Did I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 Grenade Gloves films with those guys, and we kind of collaborated a bit in that era, and finally decided one year that we wanted to go at it ourselves. And so Kurt Morgan and Rich Goodwin and myself, we teamed up with the support of Oakley, and we did the Community Project, which was a first film at kind of bringing together a group of writers. It's really session based. It didn't matter who your sponsors were. You didn't sponsors didn't have to pay and get you a seat at the table. And when that film came out, I think it did change paradigm for us. It was like a kind of a coming out, our first stab at it. And then from there, we took a year off, and then embarked on That's It, That's All, which was really like, the kind of uh, Kickstarter for what became the Art of Flight. I mean, we spent 2 years on That's It, That's All, and brought in aerial cinematography systems, tried to bring this bigger full spectrum kind of natural history component to these areas, that magical areas that we get to go and film in, which then really set the it set the stage for us. There were so many things that we did do with That's It, That's All, but there were so many other things that we didn't get to do. And that was the lead up to the Art of Flight, really. All the things that we wanted to do, and That's It, That's All, we didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, when you watch the behind the scenes of Art of Flight and you get that look back into that's it, that's all. It was crazy what you guys were just experimenting with style wise and jerry rigging to try and make this big cinematic feel for a snowboarding film. And you were there, Mark. At That's It, That's All. Welcome to you, and welcome to your beautiful bear. I wish I had a bear in my room to keep me company at night. But what was
How
what was
dare
different?
you want a bear?
What was different about that experience joining up to film with Brain Farm at that point from other film experiences that you'd had?
Well, I got a call from Kurt Morgan. He hounded me for about a month and a half one summer, and I was kind of over snowboarding at that point, just for the summer. Kind of wanted to chill, and he convinced me to head to New Zealand, meet up with the boys, John Jay, Scotty Lego, and Trav. And as soon as I came off the flight, we kind of, like, literally, it just was a match made in heaven. Me and Kurt hit it off right away, and we kind of went down this journey of planet Earth makes love to snowboarding, and that's it. That's all was our, just kind of the tip of the iceberg, I'd say.
I don't think you're
on that
gonna
same
get
note. On that same note, I just want to interject. We were trying to get Kurt Morgan on this live cast, but his reception was so crappy. He's out in the desert shooting astro lapses, or I don't know. If you follow him, he shoots a ton of space stuff these days, and it's cool to do this full circle. As we actually just finished this past year film called Dark Matter, which actually integrates a lot of his astrophotography. So it's beautiful. This whole kind of circular recap.
He
Full
probably
circle.
has time lapsing UFOs as we speak. Well, we've said enough. Like I said before, this premiere September 8th was in 2011, changed the game. Justin Timberlake at the premiere, and if you were
Let
there
the
in New York
balls
City,
drop.
and you felt this Dolby sound, you were like, oh, this is a big film.
Oh yeah, Kurt and Dolby went all out on this. Dolby put a ton of effort into the audio mix on this, and we were in the Beacon Theater in New York City, like close to 4,000 people during the Quicksilver Pro in New York, and it was one of the most all-time premieres I've ever been to.
Lando, didn't you
Yeah,
say
I
you
got
sat
to
next
hang
to
out.
Timberlake?
Yeah, I did. Got to hang out and sat next to Timberlake through the premiere. That was pretty fun. And he took us out to dinner later in the week. He's a cool dude. Had fun hanging with him.
So randomly, that airport shot, the reason we were able to film on the tarmac in Jackson Hole is it's airport's in a national park and one of the only private public airports in the country. And the CG too, the CG package that went into this film, and classic Kurt, like the Brain Farm logo deflects the asteroid that's about to hit Earth.
Massive amount of
foreshadowing for his moon
subtext.
shoots.
Yeah. So I guess the joy with this whole, this live cast here is to tell you a little bit about behind the scenes, really. And this shot out in my garage right here was actually the final shot that we shot, the entirety of this film. And yeah, that clap light. We had our boy Bungie, Steven Sherbus underneath the table, plugging that thing in and out. Thought it'd be funny, clap light in there.
And for years, everyone thought that you had a clap light in your garage, and probably installed.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Wish I had one. Never believe anything you see on the screen these days, But really, this was after, this is sunrise coming up over the mountains right there. It's 6 a.m. after, a 12-hour shoot, just, packing bags and waxing.
Typical all-night Brain Farm shoot.
Yeah. Mini CL Smooths went down.
Our lives have become digital. Our friends
So,
now virtual. And everything
the one thing I'll point out, the storytelling and the voiceover of this film, it took a long time. It took almost 3 months to put it together. And I will shout out that, the team was my partner at the time, Evan Mack, helped me so much on the writing of this with Kurt. Kurt and I were butt heads about what we wanted to say, and Evan did a graceful job.
How'd they let you shoot at the airport?
Private airport, Jackson, because it's on national park.
I love the graphics in the beginning of this and throughout the movie, and those parts where the graphics sort of start to dispel and distress. If you watch Westworld on HBO, it's literally like someone is a fan of this movie.
Yeah,
so
man,
many people bit that
just bit it.
style.
It was cool. It was fresh. I mean, it was 10 years ago that we did this. Chris Murphy from Helio up in Bozeman, Montana, who I actually later went on to make Depth Perception with him and Justin Taylor Smith. We did that film together. He's a G. So one of the things I'll point out, that last shot where you see that smoke being blown over, that's Mount Spur. That's at 11,000 feet. That's actually volcanic gas coming out over that ridge.
I've actually got some volcanic gas this morning. So you guys hear anything in the background, just chill.
Lando's joining us from Alaska, by the way. So it's fitting watching this, this piece.
Look at that. Kurt foreshadowing in so many ways in this film.
We'll never know our full potential
All he does is shoot moons.
Alaska. So Lando, you were talking about it earlier. I mean, literally, this shoot right here was exactly this time of year, right now.
Yeah, we were 10 years ago. Right now, we were filming this AK segment up in the Tordrillos.
In May.
Yeah,
Late
in the
April,
last
early May.
2 weeks of June, last 2 weeks of April, first week of May.
Yeah.
Late.
They have
Why-
a late season out there.
The thing
And
is,
the
it's so
light lasts forever.
yeah. So
Right.
this area that we're about to roll into, these next couple segments, it's in the Tordrillo Mountains in the Alaskan range, and this is north of Anchorage, so central Alaska, north of Anchorage, and this mountain range is fascinating. The amount of ice, and the mountain itself, there's a lot of granite, a lot of harder rock. Where southeast Alaska, down kind of where Lando is, Juneau, you've probably heard of Haines. It's got some softer rocks, so it's really skinny ridges, a lot of like convex rolls. Up there, you just the way that the lines form, it's really dictated by the geology up there.
There's really
And
no
so-
place like it. It's one of a kind for sure.
I mean, as you say in the opening, it's Mars. So this opening section in the Tordrillos is you, Lando, and a young Rastaman in training by the name of John Jackson, who we welcome
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, brada.
Boys, how's it going?
How's
You gonna
that?
start dreading that
beard?
beard out or what?
Dude, why can't I see you guys anymore? What's going on? There we go.
Oh, we see
Oh
you.
my God,
All right.
boys, reunion. 10
Yeah, buddy.
years. Can you believe it's been that long?
Back together like butt cheeks, my friend.
Oh my God, you guys look so good. You guys look like you haven't aged a day. Wow.
What was it like, John, when you got the call for this particular film and what Travis wanted to do?
Man, it was I was honored. I was extremely excited. I was also out of travel budget because it was, towards the end of the year. I'm like, man, you want to go on this trip with Travis and the boys. I knew what an opportunity it was. So I just kind of was like, screw it. Like I'm going, support or no support. I'm going.
So you
And,
roll the dice out of pocket.
roll the dice out of the pocket. And luckily I got a lot of it back on the back end, but it's one of those trips that's pretty expensive and you never know. Plus the first 2 weeks we sat up there in bad weather and it was like, we're not going to get it. Surface and I were tripping. We were a little
I
stressed.
think going out of pocket's pretty typical when you're working with Trav.
Yeah.
It'll
Hey,
happen.
I mean,
It'll
look, the one thing I'll note, any youthful fans out there watching today is, it's a funny, over the course of my career, last 20 years, I've seen a lot of people who will, spend the money that they have in their travel budget, which often isn't quite enough to get you through a season or get you to where you want to go. And I see those who stop writing and stop filming when they're in their budget. And I see those like John, who, the best investment you can do, invest in yourself. And that's, I blew my travel budget every single year, my entire career. And invest in yourself. Don't be afraid. It's just money. It comes full circle.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Alaska.
Hell yeah.
Fire.
It seems like
Hey,
every
boys.
place we go has its own unique set of variables. This place in particular is no exception. Alaska,
How's the bear metaphor there?
so far gone.
3 amigos.
3 bears.
3 bears, 1 heli.
None like some migrating trumpeter swans.
It's so hard to grasp a sense of scale here. When your whole life is dedicated to travel, you have to learn how to adapt to your surroundings.
Kind of fumbled that punch a little bit.
It's just kind of hard to adapt when you feel like you're on the moon.
All right, so I want to point something out real quick. Just, rolling into this project and, with Kurt Morgan and the whole team up there and this, like, arsenal, this fleet of cutting-edge cameras. People hadn't played in the super slow-mo game before. First people be using Phantoms, action sports. And, we were shooting these shots, which, these cameras are super clunky and not built for backcountry use. And so much effort was put into kind of the capturing. It took a lot of time and effort.
This reveal shot is one of a kind. I don't think you could nail it any better.
Oh, the fact that, A, it's hard enough to grease one of these lines just yourself. The fact that, I nail my air, Lando on the far right nails his tail grape, and Johnny just clicks the transfer. Over his...
3 amigos,
Oh.
baby.
Look at that.
and
The
to cover the
beast.
film.
John, there's some about your energy, like we see it in these shots before every line, like you have this energy and it just dives into shows in your riding. What was your energy like? What was your mindset?
Man, you're just so happy to be up there, so excited, especially when you get dropped off, by yourself up there and you're on this peak and you have maybe some anxiety and you're like, man, there's nothing else like it, and you're excited
and right
for
here,
the whole crew.
Look at
Look
that
at
guy.
this This line right here is called Easter Island, and I just want to point out, I think one of the heaviest things that went down on our entire trip is this right here.
Right here.
Like for me, even that like double cork you did over the gap, that air transfer is so freaking hard and so scary because you can't see the landing. It's full commitment. You come up short, dude, it's knees to face.
And it set the tone. Like that was the first big dog.
Yeah, that was a good one. I remember looking
shot.
at it on the heli up.
Yeah, transfer in, go into your lines with speed. Jeremy Jones always claimed that. So that, we kind of call those little pockets slough. Some might call them avalanches, but when you have so much snow moving up in Alaska, you have big
slough, small avalanche.
This is actually a legitimate little avalanche.
Yeah, that
probably at size 2.
Yeah, get a little puckered and go faster than you would any other day.
Yes.
My favorite shot right here, the dance party.
Dude, me too. You can tell I don't know how to dance.
You don't know how hard
You're
it
on the
was
ska
to
train
do the
right there.
worm in snow.
All right, so
full snow
let me
gear.
point out something with this line. Okay, this spine right here, right? We ended up naming it a Spina Perfecta. John and I dropped off. This right here is probably at 9:30 p.m. at night. We had a full day. We were finished filming. We were flying back to the base, and we fly by this thing, and it's just looking so pristine. And end up having a bit of a heated, friendly conversation with the pilot, who agreed to drop us off one final time if we hurried up. And so, we ride this thing. One of the most incredible spine I've ever seen. Named it a Spina
This
Perfecta. It's a perfect
POV,
plant line.
this POV is still one of the best.
Perfect.
How you're airing every freaking spine turn.
But in the panic of it, our guide took out Mark's board, and we didn't have enough fuel to go back up and get it. And so we sent Lando's board just down the mountain. Just
Yeah,
ghost
they
riding.
ghost rid at like 3,500 feet. Can't believe it made it.
Yeah. That night we ended up getting back to base, and normally pilots come in with the heli, right, and do like a pretty quick straight 80 landing. That evening, we had to do this big, wide, slow turning land. Passed out that night at dinner. It's like,
Guys,
like that. I was
That's some
worried.
of the
John,
stuff Travis will just throw out a cab 5 and you won't know, and you'll be like, "How was your run?" "Yeah, it's pretty good."
Yeah, you know how hard it is to switch it up and go backwards in the middle of a 2,000-foot line?
Oh, big time hard, buddy.
A
this
couple of these shots
basically
actually.
is a night session, right?
I mean, sure, technically 9:30. Yeah, I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of this we're
9:30
filming.
at
We're
night.
filming first thing in the morning or in the evening, right? This late in the season, the sun's so strong that you only can shoot in these morning and evening sections. Like this right here is probably 9:30 a.m.
It's kind of nice though to go take a midday break, have a cup of coffee at lunch, and then head back out for a long night.
That backflip into the saddle never ceases to amaze.
That was
That thing was-
ridiculous.
That thing was in the zone that we'll actually talk a bit more about later. We named science fiction because it was just so much in this one little zone that we continue to go back to. So this is Tordrillo Mountain Lodge, and Tordrillo Mountain Lodge was our partner. I mean, these guys made it happen for us. They're one of the best backcountry guiding operations on the planet, especially in Alaska. Gabe Langlois, our principal.
Gabers.
And then Clark Fines right here. We worked with him for years. We first met him on this project, and he actually continues to work and produce for Red Bull. Actually,
Lando, do you ever
Clarkito.
miss the goatee?
dude, that fur
Um,
biscuit.
I'm not sure. That's the only time I've ever fully grown a beard out, and I have mixed feelings about it. But it was pretty fun. I could go up to people that I've known for 20 years and have a conversation with them, and they would have no idea who I was. So that
Shove
was
it was a
pretty
bad idea.
Johnny, that was my that was one of my favorite down day components right there.
crap my pants a little bit right there.
What I love about this part is that you get a glimpse into people got to realize for the first time, like, oh, it's not just like go and shred and leave. Like you're there for weeks, maybe even months, waiting for the days, and you gotta let some energy out in the meantime.
Yeah, it's go shred, shoot guns, sled poles.
So there's a component to this, right? I mean, you're in the Alaska backcountry. There is a certain component of redneckness that is just part of the culture. Dude,
Owl dropling.
But you know, it
Fun
goes
day.
into this piece with you know, there was some like 50 caliber and some different gunshot. So it was Kurt's birthday, right? It was Kurt's birthday, and his dream birthday, you know, he talked about it for weeks, was just like, I just want to shoot all the guns, I want to light some stuff on fire. And so this was like
Love that.
in celebration of Kurt Morgan's birthday. This was his dream right here.
Yeah, and then about the biggest bonfire I've ever been involved with.
What was it like when you guys walked into the gun store in Alaska and said, we'll take all of the guns?
Well, we went into the liquor store first, and it's about the size of Costco. So we dropped some cash there, and literally right next door is the Sportsman gun store. And we put about the same amount of cash down on guns. And they had AK-47s and AR-15s and all kinds of good stuff out there, too.
Which again, I mean, you know, it's funny that that scene is pretty polarizing. You know, you go to Europe or anywhere else, people are like, what is it with the scene? And yeah, it's easy to take out of context.
John, what's it like when you guys are like? How do you manage your energy so that you still have enough left when it's go time?
Man, we were pretty excited to get out after sitting for so long. Like, we had a lot of days shooting guns. I was trying to fish. There were no fish in the river. We were hunting ptarmigan here and there. I think Trav shot one with a slingshot.
You slingshotted a fish.
Ptarmigan.
No,
Oh, no
Like
way.
a bird. We were eating some birds.
I remember John Jay was by himself one day fishing, and he came back and he had shot a ptarmigan.
Yeah, that's how it all started.
You're like, what?
Those things are delicious, though,
there?
man.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
really
cook
good.
them right. So
Mhm.
I want to shout out to, the airmen of Alaska. So we worked with so many great pilots. Getting us to where we need to be. It's quite the task. I mean, mountain flying is heavy. And this is a funny story with this
That's one of my
phase.
favorite shots right here.
We named this run Gary and the Sandersons.
Yeah,
'Cause,
reason being,
Trav and I were on the ridge, and John Jay was off on a line by himself, and so John Jay was Gary, and we were the Sandersons.
yeah,
I didn't land
we stacked
anything.
we
Those
stacked
are
a
two of
couple.
my favorite lines, Trav.
Appreciate it. That zone is. So this right here, that line's called Puckered Starfish in the background. We named that Puckered Starfish because the only time you can ride it is literally at sunrise, and so you don't have time for a warm-up run. So you literally, there's Lando actually hiking up the
I
side of
remember
Puckered
that
Starfish.
hike was so beautiful. One of the coolest hikes I've ever done.
There's Wolverine tracks. Wolverine tracks in the middle of winter on the top of a couple of these ridges. That Puckered Starfish. Straight Wolverine tracks.
Speaking of Wolverines, Jeremy Jones.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jones was this is one of the first times I saw footage of this area was a film that Jeremy was involved with, and kind of like we're talking about right here, it's such a big range. There's so many incredible faces that they got to see a lot, and they named a few, but you got to ride it to name it.
At the opening there, Jeremy talks about the fact that there's so many more like crevasses, etc. How do you manage your excitement of like, I'm about to do this line with also like, don't lose the plot?
Well, I think that's ultimately the beauty of riding in Alaska. And I mean, this spine is a good representation of that. I mean, this was one of the, for me, probably the line of the trip down this face. And there's big exposure at the bottom of this. And
one thing
Alaska's
about that run too is that Trav did a back 180 and a switch back 180 through the middle of that spine. It got cut out for timing, but
Kurt wanted to cut it out.
we were kind of tripping.
All right, so this gap, this is literally the third time we went out and built this thing. This was the third time, just with weather conditions. Conditions have to be so perfect. But this is still to this day, one of the coolest jumps I've ever hit. And I mean, when Johnny closes it out with this backside double that he's about to do over it, I mean, we all just lost our minds.
Man, I remember the first time hitting that thing and you just see a black hole underneath you, that crevasse. Remember I lost my board too when we were building it?
Yeah.
And went down in the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, heavy. And so, Kurt, every one of these shots too, you got to remember there's a full team in the air. Kurt Morgan shooting from the air with Cineflex system. And
This
Jared
one's from
Slater,
the lip.
I think Jared Slater right here is shooting Phantom camera on the lip. Slater has 1 foot over looking down in that crevasse hole. But yeah, this moment right here was just ridiculous. Stomp this.
Still one of the
John
heaviest
Jay.
double corks out there.
That thing holds
Such a good
today.
feeling.
It was amazing.
That's what I wanted, man.
Oh yeah, then there's this line. So quick backstory. This was something that we were joking around about doing for the whole trip, and then pilot ended up kind of even coaxing us into it. And afterwards, without going too far into it, we weren't sure if we were even going to be able to use this shot. And this clip ended up going to the FAA, and there was this full kind of like legal question, like about if we can use it or not, how against the law it was. And in the end, we ended up being able to, after a year of like dealing with it, we were able to use it in the end.
And just to put it out there, Trav jumped out of a heli, caused a little avalanche, front 5, and bombed that thing switch.
Thank you.
Little backstory there, too.
Thank you for not moving that out.
This down in the Neocolas, this shot, the mountain range just to the south. It's just such big country up there. And that time of year, you know, all the bears start coming out of hibernation. You see all their little dens when you're flying to and from. Missing Alaska this year.
No doubt, man.
Are you and Ejak battling beards? You and your brother?
Dude, I can't compete with him. His is twice as long. Mine just kind of stops right here. This is max.
That's
happy
From
point.
one bearded man to another, I have envy. Beard, I'll never be able to get it that long. We got some questions from folks at home, so we'll jump into our first one. It is from Gabby Bit. What do you tell yourself to push past your fear when you're standing on top of a big line? We'll start with you, John.
Push past your fear. You know, that is one thing that I say, if I were to get out of snowboarding, I would always miss the fear aspect. When you're on top of something and you have confidence in it, you have a little bit of fear and anxiety, but knowing that you can do what you're set out to do and have that element of fear that kind of pushes you and gives you that, you know, sort of feeling of victory afterwards is so amazing. It's something that I love, actually, having a little bit of fear there. And it's also, more times you do it, you have confidence and you have peace about it, you know. I think you're always comparing what you're doing to something you've done before.
Would you say that it's a relationship that you're constantly working on and developing, that a relationship with fear to be able to use it for yourself, Trav?
I mean, yeah, fear's greatest ally you have. I think it's the hardest part is trying to differentiate, like, the fear that is, you know, bodily, your innate, just trying to keep you alive, and irrational fears, right? Like, what, you know, public speaking, or like walking into a crowded room, or you know, a phobia of some sort. These irrational fears that create. So there is a difference, but if you can kind of separate those irrational fears to your true innate, just trying to keep you alive. And it is sixth sense. I mean, none of us would be here if we were fearless, right? I think that's the common misconception, is like, oh, these guys are fearless. Like, no, those who are fearless don't last long. It's about finding a relationship and loving, hugging that little buddy fear, work together.
Hug
Lando?
that little buddy. Yeah, I'd say one of the easiest ways to kind of mesh the two is taking time to actually memorize your line, taking time to know where all your landmarks are, know where your safety zones are in case anything happens. And, you know, for the most part, that is a good way to tame that fear and to understand what you're going to do when something goes wrong, if it does go wrong. So yeah, it's definitely not fearless. I've been puckered up there a bunch, for sure. Being in an avalanche is, you know, about the scariest thing you can think of. So taking time to, you know your surroundings and actually dive into the line mentally is, you know, one of the best ways to tap into both of those, I think.
Straight up life advice. John, the next question is for you. What this guy wants to know, what you were listening to in the beginning when we see you jamming out before that line. Jay Tony's wants to know, what song were you listening to?
Man, that was just myself doing a little beatbox up there, just solo, trying to get over the fear, trying to, pump myself up. And yeah, that was just my own. I actually never listen to music while I ride.
Never.
Sometimes, no, I just like to listen to the surroundings. I like to hear what my board's doing. I like to be aware of other people coming or snow sliding. But I do sometimes bring the flute with me, and on top of the line, I'll have like a little jam if we have some time, and it literally like calms me down. Like the way you play the flute, your breathing is so slow and deep that it'll kind of recenter. It's
You are
dreadlocks in the wind were somewhat of a flute too.
Yeah, man.
John.
The flute booter.
John, you are a legend, and your spirit and energy is one that snowboarding would be a boring place without, sir. We are
Appreciate
so
that,
grateful.
Sal.
Grateful to you
Man,
for stopping by, man.
I love you guys, man. So good to see you. And what a treat to watch the movie. I haven't seen it in so long. They
Well,
don't make 'em
enjoy
like
the
they
rest
used
of it.
to.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
brother, love you too.
Stay
Thanks.
well. Keep safe. Looking forward to giving you a high five and a hug soon, brother.
Man, love you guys. Cheers. Thanks for having me on.
Right
Hey,
on.
Johnny.
Burning Man.
Always a pleasure, Johnny. Amen.
What a spirit, man. Just those
Straight up.
brothers, straight up. Well, we're about to head south, and as we do so, we're going to bring in another special guest. You were shouting out the airmen of this film, who without them there's no movie. So we're welcoming in, yes, in the helmet,
General.
Eduardo.
General. Look at that stab.
Looking good.
I think he heard that Lando was going to be doing outfit changes, so he one-upped you. Hello, Eduardo.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, man. Hey, it's so nice to see you. So we've spent many years flying down in Chile together, and it's a really demanding place to be a pilot. The mountains are, so high. You're flying up to, I don't know, you go higher than I've ever been, but 14, 15, 16,000 feet. And Eduardo and I actually, this past summer, went down for the total solar eclipse that passed over, north of Chile, about 5-6 hours. And,
La Serena. Pisco.
Yeah.
Pisco, we did it.
Yeah, in the Pisco region. What an epic trip, man! And we would not have had a chance at even trying to take a photo with that eclipse if it wasn't for you putting us into some beyond ordinary flying conditions and landings.
But remember, I always say this is a teamwork.
What do you say?
We have to do it together.
Oh, it's teamwork. Yeah.
I try to do my best. It was very, very little snow. First thing we have to find the snow in the desert, and that's not easy. But at the end we built the jump and we did it.
That's awesome. Well, Eduardo, we're happy to have you with us. We're going to get started with our Chile segment, and maybe you can explain to us some of the locations that we're seeing, because these shots show us so many different pictures and aspects of Chile.
Okay, perfect. And that's the international airport. They're landing in Santiago.
Surreal chasing winter down to South America. Geographically, Chile is one of the most amazing
we call it
places
the
on the planet.
Condor waterfall, because when we found it, there
thousands
was
of
a
miles
condor
of
taking a
coastline.
shower there.
That reaches directly up to some of the tallest mountains in the world. And right in the middle thrives a culturally rich nation.
That's the market in Santiago.
Yet one of the most affected by natural disaster. In the last few years, they've experienced one of the largest earthquakes.
Yeah, we had an earthquake, very
and
strong
volcanic
one.
eruptions.
And also when we went to Chillán, they found the miners that are grounded. They were like there, I don't remember, 70 days or something like that. When we were in Chillán, they found them. alive.
See firsthand a group of people that are so positive after such a
Yeah,
traumatic
yeah.
event.
I mean, we got to see so much of this country. I mean, I think because we had a really poor snow year, a really, really unusual bad snow year, and so we had to go looking for good conditions. And, you know, with Eduardo, we probably ended up getting to fly almost, 400, 500 kilometers of the Andes Mountains. And Eduardo is flying the camera ship right here. So all the shots you see, you know, he and Kurt are working in tandem, capturing all this. And like this place, this is in the Radal Siete Tazas National Park.
Yeah.
Which is just outside of Curacao, one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
No, that was very beautiful.
Right there, Andean condor, yeah?
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, you're constantly probably dodging those things flying around the Andes, right?
But it seemed like everywhere I looked
I love them.
had been affected by a low snow year and unusual
So,
winds.
you know, being able to see a huge expanse of this range and just
But after spending so
you know,
much time,
the amount of activity,
Yeah.
it's on.
This
it's
is
on a
when we
massive-
moved to Chillán, I believe.
Yeah.
Not the
So
destination, it's
down,
the adventure along the way, and it seems
and of course, you know,
cliche to
being
say
on
that,
this
but
trip
that's really
here
how
with
it
Jake
is.
Blauvelt was, you know, such a pleasure. Jake is such a natural talent, and the snow right here was so shit. And you want to see a man who knows how to turn his board. This snow was terrible, and you know, Jake's just full tilt, being able to carve big lines.
That looks like such an
Buddy.
edge catch that should have been like a just ragdoll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have gone down.
So funny, you know. Okay, so we're on the backside of Chillán. Chillán is down to the south, and it's a resort almost kind of like Japan. It's got a lot more snow. You know, you get actually powder trees, and we found this jump on the backside of Chillán volcano. And the epic part is we had Scott Surface shooting photos down here with us, and he was trying to get an aerial angle and wanted to get this artsy shot, and he ended up, I believe, in the basket
Of the helicopter?
of the helicopter, taking a shot through it.
yeah.
And the best part was when he came back and landed, we had him locked in the basket. And I think we all pulled our pants down, sat on the basket for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I was looking at the manual if it was legal or not legal to put Simon alive there.
In the basket.
No, I think someone else was flying during that moment. But.
All right, Travis, this is one of those moments where, you know, I'm sure Lando, you're like, all right, this is the kind of line that only Travis sees as attractive.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think in their trip, it was just kind of a throw out and nothing else was working. And typical Travis finds like the gnarliest little sneak or shoot line through pretty much all rock. And that's kind of quintessential Travis, just finding a way to bring an epic A+ shot home in totally crap conditions.
I mean, if she goes, she goes. I mean, I don't know. This is what, up at like 13,000 feet or something, Eduardo? This volcano?
This volcano is about 14 something. It was very active when we flew there. And we went to make some shots when we were coming back, but everything was black, no snow.
Didn't you later tell me that you took a group out and you bungee jumped? Someone bungee jumped
Yeah.
like down into the Caldera?
Yeah, but in Volcan Villarrica. And we're going to do it this March, but because of coronavirus, we had to cancel.
We see ash starting to
Speaking of Corona,
Yeah.
check out your guys' masks here.
apocalyptic.
Another little
I mean-
foreshadowing for you.
You know, it
Look at
wasn't
these
for the
guys.
shot. Like, it was legitimate. We heard about all the health risks. Like, if you breathe in that ash, man, it's really toxic. And so our idea, I mean, we went south. Of course, we knew that there was a volcano going off, and we thought we were going to be able to hike a mountain close to this volcano. The winds, you know, seemed like they were right for it, and it just
They were like,
we ended up
yeah.
getting kicked out by the authorities.
It's just not working. I'm gonna go home.
And I mean, you know,
Trav,
it's how these films go too. It's like
they're gonna go
Jake
down
and
South
Lago. I
Park.
mean, we filmed together for 2 months, straight up 2 months before we ended up going down on this next section of the film, and it was just it was really difficult, but we still had an incredible time. And there was so much that we did that when it came down to laying out the film, it just didn't really fit into the storyline that we were putting together that Kurt was trying to formulate. But yeah, it was beautiful to see.
And remember,
see Chile
Travis,
from the air.
we have another eclipse on December.
On December. Wait, in the far, far south or where?
No, it's in Volcán Villarrica.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Another
We were
eclipse.
talking about it.
Uh-oh.
We can
Travis is
do
booking the flight.
we can do the bungee jump into the volcano, and the
So just throwing it out there. That's Eduardo in the middle. Just Jet A firebomb.
Yeah, Jet A, full Jet A in the mouth.
And and was that surface in the basket in the other picture?
That was before there was.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's surface in the basket that you were talking about.
I think you're right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got a couple of questions that are in here for you, Travis. The first one: how would you say your riding style has developed since Art of Flight?
I mean, it's a good question. I think Art of Flight honestly was kind of right when I was still doing some competition riding, and I was still trying to hang with the young guns in slopestyle course and big air. And then going into Art of Flight, I think I just fell in love with trying to bring kind of freestyle components to natural terrain. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't want to try to hang with the young guns anymore. I mean, look where freestyle snowboarding has gone in the park and pipe. I mean, it's insane. I'm so happy I don't have to compete against those guys. So damn good. So I think it's just been a slow progression, which is kind of a natural progression for a lot of riders. And just, it's really difficult to bring freestyle components to natural terrain, but incredibly rewarding when it happens. One track, you get one chance. That's been the joy of where I've tried to bring it.
Probably the last park jump you hit was in this film in Aspen, wasn't it? Might have been.
Probably on film, I guess. Yeah.
It was your park retirement party. These questions are coming in as we're rolling here. Ski Bummer Dude wants to know how many different helicopters were used to film the movie. Great question.
Well, it's a good question. I mean,
I think it's two. We use the Koala, and I use the B3 for filming, and I think in the rest of the movie is only B3s.
Yeah. I mean, Eduardo has a extremely nice brand new helicopter, B3, super powerful. It's even got cruise control. So on those long trips, literally, I got a photo of him like taking a little nap while we're flying at like 14,000 feet, 120 knots.
Epic.
But the interesting one was that Koala. I'd never flown in that particular heli that we had wrapped with the heli wrap. Most of the shoots we were doing, it's two helis, right? It's one for athletes, guides, and one for one of them is just a camera.
Yeah. Eduardo, but before we say goodbye to you, real quick, what is it like?
Yes.
The relationship getting to work with Travis that you've developed.
Well, and real quick, I want you to add one question to that. Maybe relationship with me, but also how is it to pilot a helicopter with Kurt Morgan yelling, well, you got my underwear, yelling at you about shooting. For the record, there's a hole in that underwear, and there might be some dried blood. Just throwing it out there.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah.
Eduardo, what was it like? What was it like with Kurt and Travis? This style of shooting.
No, it was great. Kurt is a very professional guy. He has a talent to put the helicopter. He doesn't put it. I move it, but you have to have a really good connection with him to put the helicopter right where he wants to. And that at the beginning cost me a little bit, but then he didn't even talk to me. We just brain connection, and I put the helicopter where he wanted.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you for stopping by, Eduardo. Hopefully we get to visit you in Chile sometime. But thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Everybody very welcome here. I want to say hello to all the team and to all the people that work for this movie that we don't see them, but if you see the credits, they're all there. And I want to say thank you to all of them.
Thank you,
Our
my
love
friend.
to-
Stay.
Thank you.
Our love to the family, Eduardo.
Oh, thank you.
That was
Beautiful.
awesome. That was cool insight, the way he described that relationship with he and Kurt, you know, going from like, okay, what are you asking me to do, to getting to that place of like not even be able to needing to speak and getting those shots. Super, super cool.
Oh, it's heavy, and Lando's been in the heli with Kurt shooting, and I have as well quite a bit, and it's borderline aggressive. I mean, Kurt is, no compromises. This is exactly how he wants the shot, and he's yelling into the headset like, he
knows what he
doesn't
wants.
soften it.
I'd say Eduardo's probably one of the luckiest ones out there. If him and Kurt weren't even talking, like
Kurt was.
It might be tough to get Kurt not yelling at a pilot, but I mean, you can see why. I mean, he knows exactly what he wants. He has a specific shot he's looking for every time, and he makes it happen.
Eduardo mentioned something interesting as he was leaving. All the different people in the credits, all the people behind the scenes that it takes to make something like this work, and managing that level of crew outside of just the filmers, but all those outside pieces it takes for a film of this size, of this budget, to happen, where, like you said, Travis, you only get one shot. It requires different types of partners that you don't see on screen, one of whom we're about to welcome in right now, the one and only Cersei Wallace.
Yeah. And before we roll over to Circe,
What?
Circe, welcome.
Hi.
Beautiful
Hi.
to see you.
Dressed for
So
the
I
occasion.
want to preface Circe real quick. So this is Cersei Wallace. She's a great partner of mine. Been best friends, agent of mine for about 20 years, and has been one of the key producers and partners in bringing all of these films to life. Community Project, That's It, That's All, Art of Flight, and and beyond. So it's lovely to have you here, Circe.
And also a trailblazer as far as professional snowboarding is concerned, on the original ride team, and someone who fought very, very hard for athletes to learn how to get their worth, so that you can actually have opportunities to make these type of projects in real life. So this partnership makes perfect sense. Welcome, Cersei.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today.
So real quick, Circe, I mean, seeing as how we have you on, I mean, I would just like to throw it out to you. I mean, you work so hard on behind the scenes, and the logistics that go into putting these massive projects together. I mean, how was it from your perspective?
Well, I mean, incredibly challenging at times, but then you get to benefit from the success of the intense, relentless efforts made by people like yourselves and Kurt Morgan. I think it's really been fun and incredibly hard at times, mediating between you and Kurt and all of the powers that be, and making sure that all of the partners are happy. And it's very fluid. And being a snowboarder, I must say that I have some envy in not getting to be on location, but also a lot of relief, because the level of intensity is pretty radical.
What's it like, Cersei? Like you mentioned, the powers that be. What's it like convincing them, as a production like this, that you can say like, oh, it's going to take this long and cost this much money? It's always, especially in a case like this, that all goes out the window. What is it like managing those pieces and keeping people in the zone that like, no, this is still a good thing?
Well, I think That's It, That's All was really like a perfect case study for us, that allowed us the freedom to really go kind of carte blanche on Art of Flight, which was really allowed us the resources because we had proven that we could do something spectacular. And I think that, with the support of our partners, they really gave us a lot of leeway. Certainly on this one, there was never a strict timeline because we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. And, Travis and Kurt were relentless. They were not going to stop until they got what they wanted, and got it done at a level that they expected. So it's challenging. It's hard to make sure that everyone feels safe in what they're going to get and the end product. And so I think that's why also this was such a great experience, is because we set out to do something, and I would say we over delivered. And so then it allowed additional opportunities and to showcase what these guys are doing on the mountain. Obviously that's what you get to see when you sit in the theater. But what's going on behind the scenes and the level of commitment and just dedication from Kurt to take it to the next level and in technology and pushing the limits of cinematography. I think the combination or the culmination of the level of snowboarding that all of this crew did and that Travis brings, and pushing his crew to the outer bounds of what's possible. And then Kurt's just absolute, radical, digging into what the level of technology that was kind of emerging at that time with the Phantom Cam and all of the heli shots, I think just allowed a perspective that no one had seen before. And so that was really fun to be a part of.
Well, we appreciate that insight as well as watching you, Mom, in real time. And let's see some of that that technology in application as we head to Patagonia.
Yeah, Hemingway, come on.
Yeah, when we first started talking about going to Patagonia, it was like epic. Sounds like a great time. And then the more we started looking into it, especially once we got down here, that's when everything flipped upside down.
It's a place difficult to handle. Mainly here, everything is weather permitting. It's like a beast, like a live beast. They don't like visitors.
It became pretty apparent immediately when we got down here just how exposed to the elements we were going to be and how we truly were at the mercy of our own decisions.
You cannot
All right, so I'm gonna
escape
ask
from this place.
you here to pause picture here in just a minute, because there's a lot to unpack. And heading down into this area, we had just spent 2 months in the Andes, right? And we're gonna pause here in just a moment on this particular shot. But we had used up winter, and we were so committed in trying to put together. We had one summer to put this South American segment together, this Chilean segment together. We were all in, and so
I love Alejo.
we went all the way to the south
When we first got down,
to the tip, literally the tip of South America, to this little town called Puerto Williams, that is literally about 70, 80 miles north of the Horn, Cape Horn, which so many have heard of. I mean, the southern tip. We were so close, in fact, that we were actually in striking distance to go out there in the helicopter. And one of the things we learned while we were down there is we can't go there because during the Falklands War, when Argentina and Chile were battling, Argentina laid landmines all over the southern tip, so you literally can't step on land out there. it's a wild place. I mean, Lando and I, when we were scouting for riding this trip, actually went over to this bay on the other side of Isla Navarro, the island that Porter Williams is located on. And there's this big, beautiful bay. There was even like a breaking surf wave we saw in it, and there was whale bones. It was like a whale graveyard, full whale skulls. And turns out it's a unique bay where whales would sometimes come to die, old age or.
Yeah, we heard rumors about it and worked our way out there and kind of just did a flyover. And we sat down and they were literally everywhere. And we packed the heli full of whale bones on the glass. And we thought we were going to bring them home, but that's
well, we brought him back to a naturalist
100%
in
illegal.
Porter Williams. Brought him back to a naturalist. They have this amazing little museum down in Porter Williams.
That's cool. At the top of the film, we saw Alaska you describe as Mars, but as soon as we see these shots, you get this heavy feeling of something that's far more ominous. And as we're about to see, it brings out a lot of discussion and for the first time, sort of behind the scenes, we see the conflict that can emerge when you're trying to do things that have never been done before.
Yeah, this scene. And this scene was 100% authentic too. I mean, people ask if we set this up, but
I had to walk away from this conversation so many times. It's so frustrating.
You're the pilot. Bottom line. Okay. You are here in charge of our safety, and I respect that. Yeah. And we all respect that.
We cannot push that.
I mean, we could walk this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a big river here that we cannot cross.
yeah, I mean,
Cersei,
just looking at logistics.
You know Travis well enough, right? And his very genuine manner of being persuasive and his intention. What's it like for you watching this?
Oh, I just have empathy for all of those men with fear in their eyes. Between Kurt and Trav, it's like really the impossible. But that's what's so great about it, right? It's like both of them really have pushed me to do things that I never thought were possible, and there's something about that that's really, really incredible.
I mean, bottom line, we had a great team too. It's a look into a spirited conversation. But Craig Kalanka and Fin are two guides who both incredible from Chamonix, and this guy Alejo, who has the most time spent down in Antarctica of any Chilean.
I think he did 9 self-propelled trips to like the South Pole by himself.
From the edge. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So basically, the reason that this is the way it is, we thought going south was going to buy us some time, but because of the low elevation, it actually was still pretty on par. So there wasn't that much still there to ride. And through some of our scout flighting, we found this one line. And real quick, look down, right here in the lake. Darwin. Yeah. There's so many little hidden nuggets throughout this film that I'm sure people haven't even seen or see. We've had a number of people email us like, did you realize that there's Darwin's face in the lake? It's like, yeah. Of course. Put it that way. So anyway, so this area right here, this line, we found it. And, it became this goal for us. It was like we fixated on this particular line. And the reason that it's set up and there's so much drama is because it's oftentimes really windy there, and if a helicopter shuts down and stops its blades, it can't start the blades in winds over, say, 30 knots, 35 knots. So the pilots were worried that, if they shut the heli off and all of a sudden winds pick up unexpectedly, which they do there, that they wouldn't be able to start the heli, and then there was another storm, multiple days of bad weather coming in behind us. That was kind of like the setup of the drama here.
Lando, this line does not look fun.
No, it was pretty gnarly. We had to wait for this slough river to kind of do its thing and clear out for a minute. And then, scale down this, I don't know, probably over 100-foot kind of cliff. Literally, while we're getting pushed by Kurt's yelling on the radio. It was such a far flight out there that we were fighting fuel too. The longer we were out there, the less fuel we were having. We were flying above open ocean. It was an epic shoot to look back on now that we're safe.
I thought it was pretty fun. Actually, the snow corned up perfectly. It was like soft. We had nice penetration, and we only have time to show like a
by the way,
third of it.
I had to break the ice, and I looked like a total schmuck. And then Trav gets the frickin' belly slide across that water. So that is.
Did you Rochambeau for who went first?
No, I think he said something like, "You're from Alaska. You probably like this," and so I went for
it. The reason you have those freestanding icebergs on dirt is this whole thing fills up like a lake, and then eventually an ice dam breaks, and then that's why you have those icebergs sitting on dry soil. That's why it looks so weird.
Incredible. Sitting in the theater, that was just such a, for the whole audience, it was, the drama was palpable. I feel like everyone was able to feel the stakes of what that was.
Yeah. And just as far as drama, like flying back, I think we landed with 3% fuel, which, in anywhere in North America, you land with less than 20%. You're getting a call from the FAA, probably getting your pass pulled for a little bit.
Super mellow, which brings
Flew
us
at 10,000 feet, so that if we had to auto rotate down to a beach, we could land on a beach and not in the water.
Auto rotate being the glide version of no engine in a helicopter.
When the engine's cut.
Cersei, I'll let you take this first question. From Philip Shearer, how much of the vision came to life versus grabbing golden unplanned opportunities?
Oh, well, I think, we set out to do something, but it was fluid. So if they got shut down, it was on to the next thing, and things were spontaneous at times. Obviously trips were planned, but I think part of why, we were or have been successful is because the crew all understands that, right? And the panic button can get pulled, and you can kind of reassess and move on to something else. And that fluidity, although can be costly, is also what ensures a successful production.
Yeah, it's
much more so than like a traditional production, right? It's like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, the classic traditional, like, Hollywood film. It's like, all right, we got 65 days to make this movie. We've got the whole thing scripted, this day, that day. We set our own weather. Obviously, the big difference with, we're dealing with complete unknowns in Mother Nature, which is always changing. The one thing that over, a lot of these projects, has taught us, especially going in with positivity and being able to enjoy it, is you work your ass off on the production side and pre-producing, and you have, the right people, the right crew, you set yourself up with safety protocols, and you just focus all of your effort into being ready and tooled up to be at the right place at the right time. And if you go in with just setting up parameters that allow you to succeed, and you don't go in with expectations, if you go in like, today we're going to shoot this and we're going to kill, then there's just a setup for failure, or, feeling shitty that you didn't match your expectations. But if you go in with enough preparation, and then you just allow things to flow, allow things to, happen if it's meant to happen. I think that's something that over a lot of these films has really come to light. That and an unwavering commitment to giving it all of your effort. So many of these shoots, so many of these film parts came down to the last day or the last 2 days.
Yeah. And I like how you talk about, like, you can set the intention, but at the end of the day, you have to go with what the conditions give you, and that's where the story really comes from, which leads to the next question from Young Lion 33. Do you realize how much influence the art of flight has had on the next generation of freeriders?
I think the amount of compliments that I've heard, it's pretty humbling to hear from people about seeing this film or being inspired in this film, and it possibly even pushing them into a different trajectory in their own life. And I think at the end of the day, that's something that on a deeper level, why we all put so much time and effort into it. Our whole production crew, Cersei, everyone, even the companies and partners, where at the end of the day, all this crazy travel and all these crazy missions, part of it is just to celebrate the unbounded creativity and ability for people to feel like their ideas aren't crazy, wanting to go do someone, achieve a goal.
Yeah. Lando, what's it like when these next generations of riders, come to you and then they say, hey, like your part or what you did in that movie or what this film did, what does that feel like a decade later?
Well, I guess you don't understand the impact it has until you get some of these compliments. Kind of blows you away. I still get notes or DMs on social media telling me how this film literally changed their life and put them on a path to do something they love. And I mean, that just kind of trips me out, just from the average person, not even another professional rider, just to be able to have influence on people's life like that. I mean, I still get comments about it. It's can't say enough about it. It's really cool. Hi, sirs.
Hi. Bandwidth issue?
All right.
Yeah.
Sirs, you are your hair is
I'm
making me
running the show.
jealous. How's the weather down there? We just wanted to say thank you for everything and always having our back and pushing us through these crazy projects. And thanks again for just showing up.
Yeah, well, I love you guys and thank you. It's fun to celebrate something beautiful we all made together.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cersei, for your such cool insights, and I'm sure that it must be a trip to sit here a decade later, looking at it in this manner, in the midst of what we're in right now as a society. Well,
I can't believe it's been a decade, but Godspeed to everyone. It's been incredibly challenging times, but I've really enjoyed being a part of this. Thank you.
Take care of yourself and stay
Yeah,
safe.
we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Cheers, sirs.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Well, we had a little
there you
technical difficulties there, but we're back.
We're back.
That was really cool.
I think this, if I can just take a moment, we're kind of celebrating quite a bit of the team, and I think this is a great little, pause point. I just want to call out some of the production guys because these guys are so classic. And
let's get it.
I got this little book here, Art of Flight book, pretty legendary little book. But on the cinematography front, right? We got Gabe Langlois out of BC, principal cinematographer with Jared Slater. Jared Slater is incredibly technical filmmaker. He was the guy mostly operating Phantom camera, which is extremely hard camera to operate. This is Brain Farm producer Chad Jackson, lives here in Jackson Hole, produces quite a few films. This guy right here, Greg Wheeler. Greg Wheeler now lives up in Canada. Again, incredible cinematographer. Has been around the world with us so many times. He's a beast. Our chieftain, Kurt Morgan, right here in the middle, classic. Clark Fines was one of the primary field producers for this whole film, having to figure out all the logistics, put our crazy ideas into motion. And then Steven Sherba, also known as Bungie. He was the fix anything that breaks and man of, he's kind of the lead key grip, engineering all the crazy ideas that Kurt has around how to bring cameras to extremely difficult places. I mean, we were bringing like 30-foot boom cameras, 50, 60 pounds out into the backcountry, 30 miles on snowmobiles. Jeff Palmer right here, he was also key grip engineer. And then Sasha Motiva, he was actually shooting a lot of the Verte storyline pieces. And he had a pretty tough job. He was lugging around, again, a big ass camera meant for like TV shows. So respect to those guys. And then of course, all the photographers as well. Too many to mention that were there for the whole journey.
That's awesome to give them their due, and it puts into context just how unprecedented this level of production was for a film this big, specifically just for snowboarding. We're going to welcome
one of the
in.
biggest challenges too, having all those dudes getting us all out there.
Couldn't even imagine. We're going to welcome in another a character, new
yes.
dad in his Scotty Lego.
Lego my ego.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I think you might be on the mute button.
Hit that little mute button, maybe. So Mr. Lego out east. Hey, give us a little check. You got us, buddy?
1, 2.
If you don't, it's all good. We're just gonna keep talking about you. So
I love that hair.
I mean,
so
he
Scotty,
looks so like sexy dad guy right now.
So he's right there. He's right on the precipice of fatherhood. I don't know if it's happened yet. But Lego has been a big part of a lot of the films that we've done over the years, and this kind of goes back to that trip in New Zealand that was kind of laid a foundation. Not that that's all, but Lego is a multi-dimensional snowboarder in the sense that from backcountry heli free riding, went to the Olympics for half pipe, and was a park rider. Super well-rounded, and one of my favorite all-around kind of style masters. The way he's one of those tall guys. You don't see a lot of tall snowboarders, tall lean snowboarders, and like Abe Teeter or something. He has the ability to poke and tweak grabs like no one else.
Definitely
tall
one
guys
of the best
with
styles out there.
Tall guys with good style in general make everything look that much more amazing. But it's really cool that you point that out with Lego. We're gonna work on his connection, get him in here, but we'll get started and head to Jackson, which for you, after everything that you've been through in this part of the film, is a you can hear the excitement in your voice and your relationship with home as we head here to Jackson.
I appreciate that.
Home.
See that color pulse?
It's good to be home. Yeah, it's powerful here. Seen it 1,000 times, but I still try to see it anew every time I come back. Right on the edge of the biggest volcanoes in the world. I mean, it's lively. It's electric.
Grand Teton.
I've dedicated
spiritual
part
epicenters
of my life to riding here, and this place is a part of me as much as I'm a part of it. I don't think I've ever approached a winter like I have this year. You got the time and effort to put in, the right crew. It is the best backcountry park in the world.
All right,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sal.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna point out that there's a lot of different ways to access the backcountry, regardless of where you are, especially here in Jackson. We got Jackson Mountain Resort, a lot of backcountry you can access all that. It's unprecedented how much. I think it's like 85% of the land around Jacksonville that is wilderness and only for foot access. But bringing the type and the arsenal of cameras back into this, which that little piece that you're just seeing with the with the snowmobiles. There's a piece of what it takes to bring 14, 15 people back to try to bring a level of production to the type that we're looking for. And we're gonna flip back to the Jackson Hole segment in just a second. This is this right here is actually
Canadian.
Yeah, this is Canada. So excuse while we just flip around here, but I think that's kind of one of the joys about being here in Jackson is being able to go out and spend the time, and you have to have a focused set, if you want to call it that, to build big jumps.
We're doing 6 a.m. morning. I think it was like, wasn't it 20 degrees, negative 20 degrees, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but a team of 15 of us heading out with 300 pounds of weights for the jib arm, generator. It was no joke getting back there.
No, not at all.
So I got a question for Sal.
Ask away, sir.
So I know you travel a lot, and this is going to be hypothetical, all right? So say you fly to the Philippines, and say you go to the market and you have a little bit of raw chicken. Are you going to classify that as salmonella? Always wanted to know.
I love that Lando had like an emergency arsenal of Sal jokes in case we landed in some unprecedented technical difficulty.
You got it, bud.
Well played. Growing up,
I've been salivating to ask that question.
There we go. Now we're back.
All right, we're back
in Jackson. This is classic. That tree hit is iconic. Was on the cover of multiple magazines. This whole session was one of those ones that just changed snowboarding.
This is one of my favorite shots right here.
This one made it on Jimmy Kimmel, I think.
No, it was on Conan.
Oh, Conan.
Actually, Conan, I did a Conan after like the world premiere tour of this thing, and we're sitting there, and I'm explaining Mark Landvik's like perfect falling leaf technique here, and selling it to Conan. It was pretty funny. And then you get a good shot at Jared Slater right here, who's shooting Phantom on this. My production
That's what you call making love to the camera.
And as we welcome Scotty back in here, at the top of this segment, you talk about how awesome it was, just the conditions that you guys were getting to ride in at home.
This was a fun day. Literally, I did just shifties this whole day. Shifty
Yes. Iconic.
Which, I mean, you call those rewinds. Yeah.
The rewind party was...
It's hard.
Scotty, can you hear us?
Sure.
Yeah, I got you guys.
There
Can you
he
hear
is,
me?
buddy. Yeah, we got
Yes.
you.
Sorry, it's my 19, 40
all right.
Dell I'm working with.
Well, we're going to get back into some catch-up Lego after this section's over. So, a couple of these features, and real quick, if you look at my screen, this right here, we got Patmore coming in hot. This right here is Patmore, for those who don't know.
That's the jump I blew my knee out on.
Yeah, which was
That's no
heavy.
fun.
It was this session. It was literally like in between one of these hits.
You can't teach that.
No, I mean, and that tree is like such a just dream feature that it was there naturally. I think it stems from, being able to just send it into soft snow. I mean, look, finding these jumps is really difficult, especially in the Rocky Mountains. You go up to like coastal BC or even north, you get snow sticks on steeper trannies, and that right there,
Wasn't that switch?
Kyle Clancy, yeah.
Yeah, switchback.
Yeah, dude.
Switch tail tap, which is Kyle Clancy is the style master. If you have seen him, he's a missing persons right now. We can't find him.
MIA. I
Scotty,
love that outfit.
What was it like getting the call up for this sesh?
I was honored, anytime you get a call from Travis Rice. I'm still waiting for a call, for his next movie. I've been waiting for 10 years, Still haven't got it, but,
So Miller flip on the tree, I think is probably one of like the top tricks in this entire film.
was that a cover
Miller
too?
flip
That
on the
was
tree.
probably a cover.
Should have been. I don't think
Right,
it was.
No,
cover.
it was a
Zach Black
full
blew the shot.
page, but it wasn't a cover.
Zach Black threw that shot.
Back when there were magazines, this session populated a lot of trees worth of paper around the world.
I did
I
get
mean-
a cover that week, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things. We go out every day. It's sometimes -20 in the parking lot. It's rugged, but when the sun comes out for that like sweet 4 or 5 hours sessions where you have light on the landing, and perfect snow conditions like this, and everyone starts ramping it up. I mean, for us, it was the 4 of us, I guess, with this jump. And you start building upon the momentum, and you can't hit jumps like this in a park.
That was a 3-day build.
Yeah, no, that was a big build. Still one of my favorite jumps, even though I got broke off on it. I love that jump.
Which,
I did.
Yes.
I didn't want to bring it up yet, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this jump ended up getting named Jawbreaker, and people still refer to it as that.
But I'll
Nice.
also say that this
Oh,
double
freeze
cork
frame.
that you
I look a
do
little bit different. I think I look better.
This is my favorite double cork ever done, by the way.
Yeah, the way you like
Oh,
drift
thanks,
and just
Lando.
be patient, lean into the.
Damn.
It was ridiculous.
Michael
Thank you.
Bolton.
You might see a smile on my face riding away. I was pretty happy I got that one.
And
Oh God, so brutal.
what happened?
I was so confused, dude. I literally
Need a
thought
face.
I got knocked out, but just for a little bit. But I thought that my initial reaction was I thought I was in like a car accident when I came to. I knew I was like really banged up, and then like all of a sudden you guys were right at me. Like you guys, I don't know how long it took for you guys to hike back up, but
Well, session was over. Yeah, we were just right down at the bottom, and you were like, "Dude, I gotta get this." I mean, was that switch double back rodeo or back double
yeah.
rodeo?
Yep,
Switch.
double back.
And so, when you were like, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna try," we were all down there just like, "Yes!" And then, fortunately, you went to bolts. It's such a blind, hard trick, and landed in a frickin' bomb hole.
It's weird. It's like I could like still like see it. Like I remember like spotting the landing, like coming in, like thinking I was gonna be fine, and then I just hit that bomb hole, and it was way more impactful, apparently, than I thought, and end up taking my knee to my face. But that was crazy. We had a sled ride out of there, and I knew my jaw was broken because I couldn't really talk. Broken teeth, and I broke like a little piece of my chin, and it's still not connected. I only one side's connected, so I'm kind of like a zombie guy over here.
I thought you
Goes off
looked
to the side,
weird.
but
Did you get your jaw wired shut for a while?
I did. Yeah, I had it wired shut for like 10 days, and but it wasn't really doing anything because it wasn't going to heal. It was too far connected. I had to get surgery. So
Yeah, he got it wired
And you
to
went-
go compete at X Games.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah, you went to X Games and actually hit the jumps.
I interviewed you with
You
your
got
jaw
it.
wired shut. I just remembered.
oh yeah.
This session with BJ, this gap just looked like like you guys were riding a Bronco bull.
Yeah, this gap is super heavy. I mean, I think this gap is much more difficult than Chad's gap. It's a bigger, more consequential step down gap. The in run
Dude,
is
that's
just psycho.
Huge.
And and unfortunately, like Mark got hurt, Lando got hurt, and respect to Bjorn, like reached out to him, was like, dude, you want to come up and hit a massive jump? And Bjorn's
Bjorn's
such
the
a
man.
charger. He's like, didn't flinch, just rolled up to Jackson and came and hit that thing cold turkey with me. And it was really cool to see this past year. Sage, Red, and the whole gang put out that film Joy, which they finally, after 10 years, someone went and rebuilt and hit that jump again.
That's rad.
Wait, what an ender on that thing. Sheesh.
Yeah, I mean, that was
Speechless.
we filmed that over 2 years, I think.
Wow.
Most of it was shot in 1 year, but yeah, it was a heavy session. A lot of days. I mean, every single jump, it's a day or two prep, bringing the whole team back there. And that Miller flip that Lando did on that treetop, we went back years later, and that tree finally fell over, and I actually severed and mounted the top of that tree. And actually,
Nice.
Ian
Yeah, 'cause
Walsh
we
was
saved
there
it.
that day. Yeah, and Ian Walsh actually came out and witnessed Lando do that.
I think that was like one of the first things he saw when he came out there. And
Oh yeah, rolled
literally
out.
probably the best thing I've ever done on my snowboard.
Do you
That one
still have
thing
the
that
wood? Do
you
you
could
have it
never
framed at your
do
house?
again.
I
I don't know. Trav had it.
Dude, you should have it as like a trophy. You know what I mean? It's like you never really competed,
it's up my
but you
attic.
filmed, so it's like, all right, cut the top of that off. Hammer that to my wall. That's my trophy.
I probably
All right.
should.
I'm pretty sure Ian Walsh is probably riding right now. And Ian's a pretty damn good snowboarder that you've turned him into. That's a whole nother conversation. We got some questions coming up. Ludwig, we'll throw this one to you, Scotty. What's the scariest trick you have ever done?
Scariest trick I've ever done. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, pretty much anytime I'm in, maybe not the scariest trick, but the scariest scenarios that I'm in is pretty much anytime I'm in the helicopter with Travis, because all of a sudden you're like chilling, you just got down, you're like your morning stretch, you're at the top, and then they're like, all right, and then you're flying up, then all of a sudden you get dropped to the top of this mountain, and Travis already has his line picked out, and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, where are you going? You just try to figure, you're just trying to figure it out on the fly. Coming from the East Coast, that was kind of, eye-opening for me. But I'm always gripped when I'm with Travis in the helicopter. I never really know what's going on or what he's thinking.
Scotty does big tricks in icy half pipes. I find that extremely scary. I real quick, because we just watched it, that jawbreaker jump, I didn't land it, but I tried like 3 of them. I was trying those like frontside triple corks on that jawbreaker jump.
Yep.
And I literally triple corked and then landed in a tree branch on a tree that's like out of frame on that jump.
Count it. That works.
Yeah, that's a make. Next question. What was the funniest memories while filming this amazing Shred Filmo vision?
It was one of the funniest memories. Oh,
I got one, and it was the lead up to this. Lego, Lando, myself, few of the crew, we did an epic road trip all the way to Alaska. We literally drove from Jackson up to Alaska. It was like a month and a half long trip. And we ended up in Stewart, BC, northern BC. We went to try to go shoot there, and it just rained on us for 8 days. But we stayed in these old houses, and I think the antics on that trip were probably some of the funniest.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of a good story. When we were in Valdez, Lando was my roommate, and we went out. We had a couple drinks. Lando had a few more than us, and I wake up in the middle of the night to Mark peeing all over my bags and absolutely filled my Avilung with piss. And well, he thought it was a toilet,
Thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Yep.
That's what we were looking for.
That might be one.
But I still use my Avilung, so I feel like we're blood brothers that way, maybe.
For the record,
I don't know if you'd call that blood, but
for the record, that night was it was kind of warranted. We just did King of the Hill, and this is actually Mark Landvik beating Sean Farmer, the legendary Sean Farmer, in front of about 800 people in a arm wrestling match.
Dude, look at
Took
the forms
down
on him.
Sean Farmer, and I won $1,000 off Nate Holland.
How do you
'Cause I
not
bet him.
send it like that, Scotty? You can't blame me. You got to
No,
blame
I
these
did.
guns,
They
buddy.
wanted a
Like,
funny
look at that
story. That's
form.
one.
Look at that
Dude, look at those
forearm.
forearms. Jeez.
Shiso. Popeye.
That's how you do it. He didn't have a chance. I felt really bad, actually.
Yeah.
I
Everyone
did.
thought
to him.
Farmer had it. Everyone.
That's
I knew
all
better.
time. Lego, are you about to be a dad or a dad?
Yeah, I'm about to be a dad. 1 month out. So I'm just I'm here chilling. We pretty much got everything ready, and yeah, about ready to have my my world changed.
Wow.
I'm excited. We're having a little baby boy, and his name is Ryder Lego.
That is awesome, man. Well, we wish
Congrats.
you the best with that. Smooth sailing as you make this
Thank you.
transition. And but I gotta say,
Yeah, I know it's a little crazy time to bring a new kid in this world, but we got it.
You're built for it.
Yeah, most people are making kids, not bringing them in
I
to the
know.
world right now.
Yep.
Well, stay
Big time.
safe and be well. It was great to see you at the Open. Still ripping. Scott, you could still come out and drop a part tomorrow if you got the call. I don't doubt that.
I'm waiting for that call. Travis, hit me up, dude. When's your next project?
Yeah. Love you, Lego. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Love you, boys. That was fun.
Right on,
Hey,
Lego. I forgot that he did the Kanye West. I say the Kanye West because when Kanye dropped Through the Wire in like 2000 and something, early 2000s, he had gotten in a car accident, had his jaw wired shut, and then went and recorded Through the Wire, and the song with his jaw wired shut, and you could hear it in the way he was rapping. So when Lego did that and showed up at X Games, we were calling him Kanye, but he didn't. He was literally risking like destroying his face again, like madman.
Is that how auto tunes was invented? Kanye with the wired shut jaw?
He wasn't auto tuned in that song, but it probably was a prequel to someone saying we should think about this.
They probably tapped into it.
Tonally, some vibrations. But that was nuts to go to X Games. I just didn't make any sense. But Scotty Lego. All right, shall we go from perfect conditions in Jackson to the unpredictability of Canada? Let's go.
Yeah. North. Every year as the snow melts, we start our migration up to British Columbia. Everything we do is dictated by the weather and snow conditions. Sometimes you get it good and sometimes you don't. This year we had been hearing that Canada was having some of the worst avalanche conditions in history. But conditions can change quickly, and we knew the only way we were going to get any real data was by going up and setting foot on slope ourselves.
Nelson traffic, could see Star Golf, Yankee Golf Kilo. Yeah, we're going to the Gold Range, guys.
Look at that.
Up there, around 9,000 feet. Our fuel is a little
Mighty Nelson.
Love that place.
We
I love
we-
that pilot, Ken.
He's cool. I have flown with him. We're waiting for Travis. We lost him. You know, one of the things about this movie that really I think the world learned about the backcountry is that each place has its own personality, and you can't just like show up and rip up to a place and be like, oh, well, it's the backcountry. Like, no place is the same. Conditions are always varying, and this is where you find out that we were reminded as the audience, like, the mountains are immensely powerful and don't really care about you.
And there are a lot of lakes in the Kootenays here too, so that's why you get this different variation in snow and sometimes really bad avalanche cycles with the hoarfrost you get. And yeah, we had a really tough month here. And that's Ken. I love Ken. Every time we go fly, every time before he fires up the heli, he's got to go take one nervous pee, he calls it. Even if there's not much in the tank, he's got to go dribble a little.
So, I mean, in this situation right here, you guys are, this is a real situation where the helicopter loses visibility, got to, icing up, got to figure out a place to put it down without crashing, and now you're literally holding onto the helicopter so that it doesn't slide off a mountain.
Well, he came to pick us up. It fogged in on him, and so he couldn't pull out, but it was kind of a toe-in landing, so only the front of the skis of the heli were on solid ground. So that's why we had to tie down the front of the heli, because the back was hanging off a sheer cliff.
There was no knot at all.
Super mellow.
Yeah, and Ken had one pocket of a window that he saw to where he could sneak below the clouds, and like got so lucky. And
then you guys rode down for a pickup, which is an equally insane pickup, as I think we're welcoming in DCP, who's talking right now.
Yeah, so we went to go pick up, and we had dropped in one shelf over than we thought, and it started getting way too steep, and we realized we were above these cliffs. And as you can see below us was just not a friendly way down. That was right below us.
Hey, DCP.
Hi, how you guys doing?
What's up, man? Bro?
Hey, Mark. What's up?
How are ya?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on this. I was just listening you talk about that crazy experience with the ice blade. That was nuts.
That was an experience, huh?
Oh, for sure. But it's like, I can't believe it's 10 years. Wow.
What are your memories? What are your memories of this trip, DCP?
Well, it was just, to me, it was such an incredible opportunity to ride with both Travis and Mark, who I really admire their riding, and to be riding in the BC mountains with them, with like Scott Newsom as a guide. It's pretty much a dream, except that we were experiencing some very touchy conditions. As you can see here, it was like every run we took, it was like kind of a gamble. We were kind of like wanting to do it, wanting to push it. But I remember it being a little bit scary. But with the group we were in, I feel like we were making the right decision in some sense, and we were just wanting to get after it. But we got to ride some really sweet things, and that was very fun.
Yeah, I mean, DCP, pleasure to see you, dude.
Hey, Travis.
I think one of the pieces of this was, the filmmaking component of this, being able to work with some of the BC authorities and Scott Newsom and a team to actually go shoot some of this avalanche, footage, which, you cannot deny how incredible it is to watch these slides. And like DCP was saying, we were operating very pulled back. We were trying to operate in a safe way best we could, and we actually did some really, really fun riding, but it just didn't really fit to put that riding in this section due to when you lay out the whole film, and and so we ended up focusing on this. And actually
I'm actually it was amazing. When we got to ride the Go Range, which was pretty incredible, I feel like we were the only one who ever went in there snowboarding. You pulled some strings there. That was awesome. And yeah, we did ride some amazing stuff. And like you said, I'm sure when you sit at the editing bay after like 2 years of snowboarding across the world, you got to cut somewhere. But I feel like what you put in there just shows what the trip was all about. And that Mark's line right there is just very scary, actually. I remember being across the way there and not being super inspired to go down myself.
Yeah, that was scary. I think we had just gotten to the point where we had pulled off so many runs and we felt somewhat confident on that line. And, you know, I had an inkling that it could pop. We knew there was a possibility. I had my out. I knew I had to go right if anything happened. And if you watch it again, if you play it back, you can see me jump up in the air and try to hit my board sideways on a tree to stop myself. And it shovels me right. Otherwise, I would have been pitched into a hole with rocks, I think, and got buried. But I got right and got tossed off a 50-foot cliff and thrown onto my head. But yeah, thankful.
I feel like you reacted really good from experience, you know, and being with that crew again, like with Scott and Travis and you, like, you know, that was like definitely a confidence builder. And I feel like we were just unlucky with conditions, but like it was an incredible trip.
Yeah, I agree.
I love how you point out that you have a plan in those type of situations for what to do or how to react if something goes wrong. And I think sometimes people don't realize that, yeah, you're planning your line and the things that you want to hit, but you also have to have a mitigation plan for when things go wrong in those situations.
Yeah, and especially since we knew, I mean, you always have to do that, but especially when you know things are touchy, you have to have your safety zones, you know, typically looking at your high points where the snow's going to shed itself away from you. In that situation, there wasn't really a high point. Like I said, I was trying to get out of this funnel that I would have been pitched into, which was actually what I wanted to ride. But if I got, you know, avied into it, it would be a whole different story. So I jumped up and slammed my board sideways into this tree and ended up being able to push myself right, which got me up onto that shelf away from that hole. But as you saw, it pitched me forward onto my face and then off that like 40 or 50-foot cliff, which the landing had slid out already. So it was pretty solid underneath there, the hard pack. So it was tough. I mean, the 2 times in my life that I've really been, you know, caught in a heavy avalanche, I've had, you know, questionable judgment and knew that there was a possibility and kind of pushed through it anyway. And so I think that's something to be said about trusting your instincts and having the actual guts to be able to pull back and say, you know, something isn't right here. And like I said, the 2 times that I ignored that insight I had, I got caught in an avalanche.
Well, I feel like there was a lot of people wanting to decide on that specific scenario. So I feel like you were listening to your intuition, but I think we all made a group decision that we were pushing through it. And I think that was the last run we took on that trip, right?
Yeah, that's when we called it. That's I had a long bath that night.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all, the audience definitely learned a lot of lessons from that one. We're waiting to get Travis back. And then in the meantime, some questions. DCP, we'll start with you. What inspires your sense of style?
Whoa. That's a hard question. I feel like maybe style is not necessarily something that you work towards. I feel like maybe you have that if you have it. What inspires it? I think like watching people that resonate to me. You know, watching guys or girls with lots of style and grace and fluidity. I think like for me, style is like, simple, fluidity. If you feel like you're flying and you look at the person and it looks like effortless, and to me that's style. So I like to watch that whole cast in that film. I feel like Mark's got great style. I like to watch his style. Travis as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think like other snowboarders, surfers, skateboarders, people who work, I guess, hard at achieving tricks, but then it seems effortless. That's what's inspiring to me.
That's awesome. Our next question coming is, well, in the meantime, Lando, how about you?
Well, I would say my biggest inspiration as far as style is concerned was Jamie Lynn when I was growing up. He had the biggest impact on me for sure, man. And getting to know him and getting to evolve my style around other snowboarders that I saw was, you couldn't ask for anything better as a young kid.
Yeah. The first time I saw a Jamie Lynn method, I was like, oh, okay, that's what everything needs to look that good. That next question,
if you want to be a pro snowboarder, if you want to be a pro snowboarder, you need to be able to do a method like that. I mean, you probably won't be able to, but that should be, one of the pinnacles on the list, I believe.
You should be working towards that your whole life.
Yes.
Dylan wants to know which shot was the most surprising with how awesome it turned out.
Well, I guess for me, it would probably be the Miller flip on that probably 30-foot tall tree in Jackson Hole. Especially, well, obviously, it was going to be 1 in a million if I got it right, but also the way Kurt filmed it was with a 12-foot jib arm. So he had a couple 100 pounds of weights on the back with somebody controlling this jib arm to give you the up and down, side to side movement. And if you watch it, he almost buries me behind the trees. And just as he pushes through the trees, I'm hand planting on top of that, and it comes out. And I mean, that was a 1 in a million shot on my part and Kurt's. That's probably my whole career best shot.
That's awesome.
That was a beautiful one. That whole Jackson section, those big gaps, I feel like you guys put so much effort and energy and carrying all that gear out there. To me, that was the most incredible because it was like, to watch, it's like, oh man, they went all the way there with all that equipment, all those guys to nail those tricks, like amazing tricks first try like that. Like that's, to me, was just like super impressive.
Yeah, brother.
DCP, when we've been saying the whole time, like trying to figure out that this is 10 years old. When you think about 2011 to snowboarding to today and how much time has passed, what's it like to look back at this particular time?
I know, time flies. It's incredible. 10 years ago, we had a young brand in snowboarding. We were like just out of like other sponsors, and I was just feeling like, a rebirth, and being able to go with that crew. And then also was at the same time we had those events happening, the Supernatural and all that. So like this whole thing to me was just incredible, and it definitely motivated me for the next 10 years. Still to now, I'm like, okay, I still yet have to go ride the Tordrillo range with one of those guys. It's like still inspiring. I still got things on my bucket list from watching that film, even if I was involved in it. And what's pretty funny is like right now I live in Costa Rica for the year, and next door to me is a brewery. And every time I go in there, every other time, Art of Flight's playing because they're showing Red Bull TV instead. And literally, like I'm sitting there in the jungle, and then I'm looking at that film, and everybody's like, "Oh, hey, was that you?" Like, "Oh yeah, I guess it was." It was sweet.
10 years later.
Yeah,
That is
it's pretty fun.
amazing.
amazing.
Watching it in Costa Rica. Well,
Yeah.
DCP, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. It's great to see you. Hopefully, see you in real life and catch
Yeah,
a
for
couple
sure.
catch a couple of lefts for me, please.
As soon as the beaches reopen, we'll think of you when we go left for sure.
Yeah,
For
buddy,
sure.
Shaka Zula.
And give our love to Megs as well.
Will do, and it was great to see you guys all, and say hi to Travis. We lost him, but like, thank you guys so much for all the opportunities as well, for being in that film and being part of the crew.
Stay
Yeah,
well
man.
and keep safe, my friend.
You guys too.
Cheers.
Take some
Cheers.
Halley Pounders for the crew.
Pura vida.
We are working very hard. Our technical crew behind the scenes that is literally spread out, coordinating this. We're working pretty hard to get Travis back in the mix. But in the meantime, how about we head to Aspen, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to make this choice to show this particular side of snowboarding in this film with this technology.
Yeah, and with the crew.
No way. Lando, you got cut off there. You were saying also with this crew, as we see one of the two Mitrani brothers.
Yes, sir. This Friends crew, you know, they were riding together for quite a while. They're kind of split up a little bit now, but to be able to finally hang out with those dudes and watch everything that went down. I had my knee blown out at this time, so it was really fun for me to get on slope and to watch these guys do their thing.
This is one of my favorite eras of half pipe riding, because I feel like at a time when snowboarding was becoming like pretty gymnastical, the Friends crew really held on to the aesthetics, and it was like, all right, cool, we're gonna progress, but everything is going to look like snowboarding is supposed to from a style aspect. Like,
yeah,
and to see it
look
captured
at
like
that.
this, you see that. I mean, look at that.
Like we were talking before, Lego's a long man, but when you can make snowboarding look good and you're that tall, that's some talent.
As we welcome in Mark McMorris, who I believe is in Hawaii right now, joining us.
What? I didn't know Mick Naked was coming in.
There he is. Aloha.
Aloha to you, my brothers. How are you guys?
Epic. Are you in Hawaii right now?
I am, yeah.
That's Cody Merrill right there, I believe.
Yeah, Eric
What was this session like, and how old were you?
This session was the session I've been dreaming of. I can't believe I was on a brain farm shoot the third year I was a pro snowboarder, and the first year I was a pro snowboarder on this magnitude or on this level. And I remember, Lando, you were the highlight. You're the hype man this whole week. You had a sad face on your blown out knee and a happy face on your other one. And
with the zinc.
Yeah, it was. I connected with Lando a lot that week. That was so fun.
Yeah.
Lucky to be a part of this and meet all these amazing people. Hold on. It was.
That's when I gave you the nickname McNaked.
It is.
I don't know if anybody knows that, but I call you McNaked. I saw your butt cheeks one night when we were partying. You were running around, your butt cheeks were hanging out, and I was like, "Dang, dude, McNaked has some big butt cheeks. No wonder why he can stomp those tricks. Like good butt
Yeah.
cheeks, big butt cheeks in a good way, you know.
Thank you, Lando. Oh my God, dude! That one night when we tried to clean the table of all the beer cans and Jack slid across it, and then the table just concave.
He didn't slide across it. He jumped belly first.
Yeah, he kind of Air Jordan.
Me and Travis
Scotty Lego murdered this jump.
Carrying it.
Yeah. Lego was. I feel like this was like the biggest coming out party of people really realizing like, oh, Scotty Lego can ride anything. Look at that young face.
Look at how young you look.
17.
Wow.
I think. Good times.
That's
got
amazing.
bodied on this once and hurt my shoulder, and then went up and got it. It was a good feeling. That was a special jump. That jump was huge, actually. It's one of the biggest park jumps I had hit at that time. It was really well built too. It was good times.
What was it like seeing? Cause Travis also like you got reminded like, oh, this dude can go ham on a park jump.
Oh, Travis is incredible at anything he rides. Did you see that Miller flip? That feature was so big and sketchy, kind of like I couldn't believe he did that. And then he just put on a clinic on the jump, perfect speed every time. You know, he's just insanely calculated. And big shouts out to Eric Willette, who guinea pigged that jump and greased it the first time. Scotty killed it. But yeah, just being in that environment with Travis and the rest of the crew was truly a dream come true, and I will never forget that week.
How did that week influence your career? Like when you look back at 9 years ago, that's a definitive moment within snowboarding. That time, that crew, and you're young, you're 17, coming in with all this energy and a lot of hype. What did that do for you?
I think it just mainly motivated me, seeing that you could go somewhere like that with snowboarding in the aspect of Travis, like gets to have this huge shoot, and this is just one part of this huge film he's making, and he gets to bring all the best riders there. That was just like, I want to do that. I want to be around this. And watching that's all in the back of my mom's Honda Odyssey, and then you're a part of the next one. It's just like it all happens so fast. So good times.
Thank you for the visual of mom's Honda Odyssey as we throw a question up for you right now. Oh, this is a good one for both of you. We'll let you take the first one. What would you do if you weren't a extreme sports guy? My apologies for that. I'm just the messenger.
I think it's a little bit of a no-brainer for me. I think hockey would have been probably my life if I wasn't doing it for a living, maybe like working in it. I just loved hockey as a kid, and if snowboarding wouldn't have found me, skateboarding, all the rest of it wouldn't have found me, I think that's the role I would have went, or the route I would have went, because I had no greater love than hockey when I was like 9 and 10.
That's rad. Lando?
Well, I don't know. Probably up in Alaska doing construction, possibly. Maybe follow an art. In school, I played football, and I was pretty passionate about pursuing that, but the high school football coach wouldn't let us snowboard or skateboard if we were on the football team. So I bagged football. And he would come to my house.
You should send him a thank you
come to my house every year trying to get me to play. Knock on my door, and I'd ask if that was still the rule, and he'd say yeah, and I'd say all right. Well, I'm snowboarding.
I'm lucky my mom, the football coach used to come to call my mom and Carl when we moved to Carlsbad, and they tried to get me to play, and I wanted to play, and my mom was like, no, you can't play football, and that's how I started surfing and then snowboarding 6 months later. So thank you, snowboarding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no,
Are you still there, Mark?
Too. Yeah, I had a hockey coach that made us skate lap. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just saying, yeah, I had a turning point like that. I had a hockey coach that made us skate laps because I forgot my neck gaiter, and I was like, yeah, no one's doing that to me in the snowboard world. I'm out of here. Snowboarding's way cooler.
Judging from the clips you've been posting on the North Shore, dude, you're fast going to have a big wave career. I saw you getting towed into some bombs.
Dude, that was so ridiculous. I didn't surf them all that well, but yes, I was on those waves, a few bombs for sure. And
That was amazing.
My leash. Thank you so much, Sal. I've been surfing a ton, and it feels so.
We lost him.
There.
Well, if you want to see what Macmo
fun.
was talking about, check his Instagram page. He's been getting towed into some pretty big bombs as he is on the North Shore, where they're still allowed to surf in the midst of the lockdown. We are still diligently trying to get Mr. Travis Rice back in the mix, but right now, Lando, it's looking like you and I are we're manning the ship in his honor. We're going to try not to crash it as we head to the last chapter, which is it's just one of my favorite parts of the film. There's a purity in this final session and the energy that goes down that is like nothing else as we head to Revelstoke.
You could say
I agree.
Snowboarding is like church to me, like church is what it is for other people. Snowboarding down a mountain is like flying. It feels like there's no friction. I actually feel like it feels like flying.
How do you describe Nicholas Mueller to someone who's never met him?
Well, when we were talking about style a couple minutes ago, he was next on my list, and I would say this dude is pure style.
Yeah. Oh, we like this big. All time.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. Right there, just with that ferry, you get a little bit of a look at just what it takes, what it took with this film. Each time they decided, like, all right, we're going back in, we're going deep. Like it's a mission of humans and equipment.
Yeah, it really is. It wasn't as big of a crew as Fourth Phase, but this was kind of our introduction to that, and bring in between 12 and 14 people in the backcountry, especially on sleds, is a feat in itself. And then trying to film stuff like this for these segments, you're just you feel lucky when you walk away at the end of the day with anything in the bag.
I love what we got to witness as far as tree line is concerned, and this dance between Travis and Nico, who we welcome in. Nicholas Mueller right now. So stoked he's joining us.
Nico.
Hey, Nico.
Yeah, guys. Good to see you through the internet.
Nico.
What? Talk to us about this session.
Ooh, wow, which session? Oh man, this one. Right, this Mac Twist. I was like, oh my god, I need to get this for the guys in the film, and
that was amazing.
Somehow it worked out. Yeah, I was mad stoked when Kurt pulled up with his turbo sled and gave me a high five.
Yeah, man, you are definitely. I was talking about Jamie Lynn being my inspiration for style earlier, and you are right there with them. As far as being new generation, you have my favorite style that's out there right now. You have for a while. I love watching you ride.
Oh, thanks, boss. I mean, it's such an honor to hear. And like, just growing up riding, I would just soak up everything and just, you know, try to fake it till you make it. And then sometimes it works out.
Then you made it.
I think you're being very kind. That
I made
that
it in
line
the
always.
chat with you guys.
That line
having-
throw you off, Sal?
No, yeah, that one where Travis is exposed, hanging off that big exposure on that cliff is insane, and he's just casual for Travis. But
it was like 80 foot to flat.
Yeah, totally. And this line is, oh man.
Nico, there's an approach to your riding style that feels like almost like a meditation. Like once you strap in and go, it's like an improv dancer. Like what's happening in your mind, because it's so cool to watch.
Yeah, it kind of like you have to. I mean, there's different mindsets, but at the end, it's like frozen water. You have your board, you are strapped onto it. Just move your body so your board gets to the right spot with the right speed, you know. And then, then pray you land on your feet again. But yeah, I don't know. I think just like flow. I mean, water has this naturally, and surfing, snowboarding, it's on snow, and we are almost 80% of water as well, so it's probably best to go with the flow anyways.
Go with it.
I think this shot right here, how you extend your back up and then you go.
Yeah.
I love that, dude.
I
Your
almost
little
lost it. I kept
steez
it
right
together.
before it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. This was all in the catboarding zone of Revelstoke. That was an amazing day. I mean, the amount of sessions we had, it was like inbounds Revelstoke, Revelstoke, snowmobile, helicopter, hike from the road. Like we did it all in this month, and this zone was incredible. That was a magical zone.
That's one thing about this section. I was pretty jealous because I blew my knee out a couple months earlier, and I saw this footage of you guys, and I was tripping. Looked like such a sick trip.
I know, we missed you there.
Nico, it feels like when you're watching that you and Travis are not competing against each other, but pushing the best out of each other in a way where everything is heightened and you're getting to these levels that are
Right
mind blowing.
Yeah, like
Favorite
that.
trick of all
I would have
time.
never done that. Like with that trip, we each other elevated each other, and I was thinking about it earlier. It's like it is sort of a competition, but it's more like we just pushed each other out of comfort zone to make our fruition happen, like stuff that we would dream of but never like stepped up to. And that trip, everything came together, the conditions and our riding, you know, we had some mileage under our feet by the time of the season, and it was incredible.
What would you call that last trick? Like a nollie McTwist? I mean, that's still one of my favorite shots ever.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's just more like a nollie front flip backside 180. I think, sort of. You can do it like beautiful. 360 as well. That's like the first time I did it. It's pretty easy trick, but that spot was special.
Yes, it was.
There we go, and the bird. I remember like the first or second day we just did a warm-up in the trees, and Scott Sullivan was shooting photos, and Travis was still up and yelled out like, "Hey, I'm gonna come jump here," and we thought he would jump from like just there, and then all of a sudden he jumped from way up there, way past us, and we were like, "Oh my god, this trip is on!" And then that's like, it was like Superman.
He is kind of like Superman sometimes.
Oh, sure. That was a really fun phase as well.
That was sick. This little pop.
How was that little bump that you suck up to pop off of that thing?
Yeah.
Just boom. Wow, such good memories.
Lego back.
Yeah. So yeah, bummer we lost Travis in the live feed.
Yeah, we lost him.
We lost him. I don't know if we're gonna get him back, but
we have him on the screen.
Yeah. And go ahead. Do you feel like you would have done the riding that you done in a place like this without that energy, like for all of you?
I must say it was really special project, Mark. Like just 2 years, and it was just like we all just wanted like the best for the project, but for each of us to like, you know, make snowboarding like the greatest thing ever, you know. And not saying because we did this, but just we wanted to like honor snowboarding and just go really hard, right?
This is my favorite section in snowboarding, period. And then you get the master, Jeremy Jones.
Yeah. Just reading the mountain, talking about going with the flow.
Definitely the master.
Oh, I was on this super intense career path to be a world-class dirtbag.
Gotta love that one.
It's one of the lines of the movie.
I mean, I knew like so early on, by like 12 years old, for sure, I was like, I'm living in the snow and I'm gonna be riding every day.
What's it like riding with Jeremy?
Mark, you want to take it?
I mean, it's something else to watch. The first time I actually rode with Jeremy was when he got that scar on his face up in Terrace, BC. It was pretty scary. But this first line that he does is just, I mean, it's what it's like to be out there with Jeremy. He rides it perfect. His flow is perfect. The way he feeds it from right to left to let his slough work its way out. You can just see the years and years of dedication put into the mountain.
You're in the mountains and you're in the backcountry, you're putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
And no one is above the law. Blind rollers, here we go again.
I had my 21st birthday in Alaska with Jeremy Jones, and we rode this bull that he eyed out for a while, and we went there on my birthday, and he took me there, and I got a shot, so we named it Birthday Bull.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, his slough
cool.
management right here.
Yeah.
The way he's working it.
He makes the most uncontrolled situations look so controlled that he can almost lure you into thinking that you could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he makes it look so mellow.
And then this
here comes the maniac.
This happens. Sheesh. You just watch something so gnarly that you're like, all right, well. And then this.
Yeah, I think this is when Jeremy was just kind of like, all right, he's going to get really good now.
Yeah, I think he says it right after this. Oh my God.
Boom! Backside 180.
really cool being out there this morning with Travis. He's better every time I ride with him. Every time I ride with him, he's doing stuff that I've never seen anyone else in the world do. And it's pretty much the best snowboarding that I've ever seen. And that's every day with Travis Rice.
Well said.
Yeah, and it'd be hard to say that with Travis actually on right now because he doesn't like to hear it. But yeah, greatest snowboarder on the planet, and to bring all of you riders together and that push that he does with his energy, that like weird curiosity coupled with that unnatural ability. I mean, this film is such a gift. The manner in which Kurt shot it and all of it, but the belief that you could make something this big for snowboarding, like you said, Nico, this was for snowboarding, is truly special. And then of course a couple of hammers here at the end, just to drive it home.
Yeah. Kurt always likes to do that. Some hidden gems at the end for you.
Boom. Help shoveling this jump.
Sheesh.
Oh, that was just the speed check. That was just the speed check. Just this.
The setup to like that turn, the setup to go switch was also just insane.
Yeah.
Oh, good night.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. We got some nice prizes for you at the door. Peace.
Wow, look at that, dude. That's badass. I want one of those.
And just like that, you get to see why this film went beyond snowboarding. This became the film that anybody that you talked to about snowboarding or who didn't know anything about snowboarding culture, whether it was a parent or a grandparent, anybody who appreciated, art and true cinematography, it allowed people a feeling of like, this is why snowboarding is by itself. It's its own special thing. And I feel like it took snowboarding into another level of credibility that no X Games or anything else could have done. Like this was a real pinnacle for the culture.
Yeah, I think it brought snowboarding to the eyes of people who, never would have snowboarded and maybe still haven't snowboarded. Man, it opened their eyes to what we were doing out there, and it was such a cool project to be a part of.
Nico, when you look back at this, what was this moment? I asked Mark McMorris, what was this moment for your career when you look back?
Oh, it was insane. It was it's like a milestone, and it still is. Some people they hear, oh, he's a pretty good snowboarder, and they go the typical like, so you're like a world champion. I'm like, no. They're like, you're a Swiss champion. Like, no, not even. They're like, oh, is he lying? Like I thought he was a world-class snowboarder. But then they're like, oh my God, you're in the art of flight? Like, holy, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Set the bar. Change things.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, Sal, he Travis for president of snowboarding, and if I ever compete, it will be like a natural selection tour where he's doing the same thing, right? So basically making an art of flight live event.
Please let it happen. Please.
Yeah.
And I just got a text from Trav. It looks like he had to drive to his mom's to get internet connection because his cut out. So he might be back with us in like 4 minutes.
Okay, nice.
That'd be cool. Look at all of the names. I mean, 10 still photographers, and you see all these legendary names like, Paul Barish.
Cersei Wallace.
Yes, who was with us earlier.
Yeah.
When you see each section and all of the names, it makes you appreciate like, oh, this was like a major. This is the credits are as long as if you'd watch like a like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
You know, there's that
Yeah,
much
a lot
behind
of. Hey, my part took a lot of special effects for all those. No, I'm just kidding. those landings, you know.
Hey Sal, I got a question for you.
Sure.
So I did some research on you, and
Oh,
I
no.
understand you don't have any kids. You have no wife. Would you call it, if you got a divorce, hypothetically, if you were married, if you got a divorce, had kids, would you have to pay salimony?
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Just had that one loaded up, huh? You're like, oh, it's the credits. I gotta make sure.
I got one more I gotta get into.
I hope I never, by the way, ever have to pay salimony. As you see, Jason Nunmaker, who shrink wrapped, put all the helicopters, did all the logoing of the helicopters. I got a text from Jeff Pensero today, who was like, "This was my relationship with Travis began from this film, like with Travis and Kurt." And boom, there is Travis. I just summoned him from the ethos. But yeah, Jeff hit me today. He's like, "This is how I met Kurt and Travis was through this."
Yeah, I think one of the first times we were ever there, we were flying around and actually got shut out of being in Nelson. You know, you get such thick valley fog, sometimes you literally can't take the helicopter down, and so we were up above the clouds and ended up having to land at Baldface, spend the night there. But anyways, Nico, a pleasure to see you, buddy. Happy birthday, buddy. Nico just turned another lap around the sun.
Yeah,
Hey,
how
happy
old are
birthday,
you?
Thank you.
sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys.
Where you at now?
29?
How old are you?
Yeah, excuse me. The cell phone networks here in Jackson went down. Oh, you're talking to Nico, so I'm at my
I'm a
mom's
year
house.
better.
Well, thanks to your
A
mom
year
for getting
better,
you
so-
in.
Yes, thank you. And calling from Locked.
Wow.
Beautiful locks. Snow is melting, but there's still some up high. Yeah. And you're back, Travis. Stoked.
Yeah, buddy, good to see you.
Hey, Trav, we didn't talk about it at all, but the music in this movie was unprecedented. And when I think of like M83 and Sigur Rós and like these type of bands that like were like cool bands quietly, that this film sort of took to another space.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I mean, look, music is such a difficult part of this, and there was a lot of inputs into what tracks would work. So many tracks were tried, not all those tracks worked. Kurt with this particular film definitely took lead on the musical selection, and then several of the tracks, individuals within the production brought to the pad. But music is a huge part of filmmaking, especially films like this. And we got nothing but gratitude for all the incredibly talented musicians that help plan this.
Yeah, it played such a cool part. We have some questions, some back end questions folks have been throwing in. You can only ride in one place for the rest of your life. Wyoming, BC, Japan, AK, or Chile? One.
All right, I want to hear you guys' answers. If it was purely just about the snowboarding, I would pick BC because it is the highest probability of being able to ride every day. High tree line, consistent snowfall. Place like Alaska, you can only really ride when the sun's out because tree line's so low. Place like Jackson or Wyoming, where I live, I love the riding here, but you just get a little bit better and safer snowpack up in
BC. I don't know. What about you guys?
For me, BC, 100%. I grew up in Alaska, but BC fits my riding style. And yeah, it has to be, a lot of times it needs to be sunny in a lot of places in Alaska to be able to ride. And BC has plenty of trees, alpine as well. And yeah, it just fits my riding style. I love it.
Nico?
BC is kind of like a heaven for snowboarding. I have to agree. But I would throw in Switzerland into that mix of places. Just because we have probably like close to 1,000 lifts and a couple hundred resorts in a very small country.
Come on, dude.
And there's something too that where when you're in your home area, like for me here in Wyoming, like Nicholas and his his knowledge and know-how, relationships, like that factors in.
Because of this movie, I said I have to get to BC, like not just Whistler, Blackcomb, BC, where I'd been riding forever. This movie changed my life, and now I have a crazy relationship with Nelson and the Kootenays in that whole area. Changed my life. My favorite place to surf, snowboard for the rest of my life, for sure.
I agree. Kootenays, Nelson.
What is your favorite sequence in the art of flight? Favorite sequence? Tough question.
I'll let you guys think about that. I would have to say, I think for me that double ender, right? Like we end the BC segment and then go to 30 seconds of credits and then the double ender. I think for me that's probably the most my favorite part, just because we did that whole double ender during That's All, and we wanted to bring it back. And during the premiere tour, especially, being and presenting this film to thousands of people all over the world, all these different locations, there was such a emotional component of like, that was the wrap of the film. And that day, I think, was a good example of what we all dealt with in the making of this movie, where, hitting that one jump, like that line into the kicker, every single person was, all in, make or break. Like the shot that Kurt was shooting the aerial from, like he was trying to time it panning up with trees in the foreground. And, that's a really risky shot to do. Dropping into a line, hitting a jump first tracks, you can play it safe. Or, I decided to try a switch back 7 and then a switch double cork. That was my choice, high risk, high reward, but a good chance that you're not going to land and you're going to blow it. And that was kind of a representation, I think, of a lot of, like Lando and Nico and, everything, all the filmmakers of this film. Everyone was pretty all in. We were not taking the safe route through the making of this film.
Copy that, big cat.
Copy that. Yeah.
I'd say it's hard to say. The Alaska segment has so much. I mean, it kind of sets the stage for the whole movie. And that first song really has some energy behind it. But the Jackson segment, once it gets going, I think has such a good feeling, and the camaraderie in it with all the riders, and I'd have to say that. And I hear the same from a lot of people.
Nico?
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And yeah, that end, I mean, I was there shoveling as well, and then I left. And then when I saw, I was there for the whole month, and then I left and you stayed for another week, and then I saw the shots, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, so that's a great example, right? Like it comes down to the last days, so many of these. And yeah, Nicholas helped me build that jump in the very end.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. That was mainly just chilling, But I was really glad to see that. And also the other jump that I built and never got to hit. While you were building that mainly, I went and built another jump, but the puppy one. So I was really glad to see that.
Yeah, I owed Nicholas a couple teas, a couple smoothies
Oh.
after that one. Much appreciated, buddy.
I think it's the other way around, but thank you.
Okay.
I
Hey,
got
and
a
I
question
didn't
for
get a
Sal.
chance.
Say again, Trav.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this question for
I
Sal.
have one more question for Sal. So, Sal, say you're, for some reason, which probably never happened, you're in a quarantine lockdown. Probably never going to happen. But
Never.
if you were and you lost your toothbrush, say for maybe a week or two, and you know your oral hygiene's kind of hitting a low, and your breath starts stinking, are you going to call this salatosis? Is that what you'd call that?
That's a bad nickname right there.
Salatosis simplex 10. Oh my God,
Yeah.
man.
Or he calls his friend Ami, his friend Sal Ami.
Salami. Yeah, salami.
Yeah. Salami.
That's me. Guys.
Hey, one question before you close this out. Nicholas, I always wanted to ask you that crazy transfer you do in the end of that film before Jeremy and I do that free ride section.
No.
Oh, just before the question.
Are you kidding me?
He was talking about the nollie flip.
Yeah, same one.
The universe is
So his
just...
question
Damn
was,
it.
Where do you think he was going? Put
I think
yourself
he
in
was
his...
probably going to say it was one of the best tricks ever done on a snowboard and caught on film, just like I did, because, I don't know.
Yeah. We're
he was
still
more
trying
kind
to...
of like, that was kind of weird. I want to know more about it. Or was it
Man.
planned? Was it an accident? Did you ever do it before? Did you ever think it? I did do it before, but just on a little thing and never like that. But I thought about it. I screwed up on a try before when we had like, we were like 3 riders and then, you know, it was like boom, 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 boom. And it was my turn. I screwed up, but then I was on the takeoff and I knew I had it a little bit before the other guy went again. And then actually hiked up. And the next thing you know, it's Kurt or Clark on the thing. He's like, "You go 3, 2, 1." It's like, oh my God, I got this. And then I did it. And next thing you know, I'm like riding out of it. Like, yeah, it's just one of these lucky moments.
I got a question for you, Lando.
Yo.
How many outfit changes did you plan for this, and did you get through all of them?
It's kind of hard fighting headpieces. I got one earpiece in this side of earbud over here, this headset, and I had to go to the bathroom once. And
did you do it?
Yeah, I did go to the bathroom.
That's incredible. I've had to go the whole time, and I played it out.
Yeah.
There's Travis.
Hey.
Finish the question.
Jeez.
We literally got you from transfer, and then you were out. We can't hear
about.
And no audio.
Now we can hear him. Can we hear you?
Yes.
Travis?
Travis?
There he is.
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Travis, thank you. This has been really, really special to be able to take a look back at this. And, you know, like we've been saying the whole time, it's an appreciation for a special moment within snowboarding. And it's dope that you can look back at this movie and see this pivot into where the rest of the culture went from this place. And I know that wasn't your intention, like, oh, this is what we're going to do, but that's what you did. That's what you brought together. It's a pivotal moment that set a course and direction for where we are today in the culture. It's just it's an honor to get to share this with you and get a glimpse into your vision and your beautifully weird brain.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I mean, straight up, this was the work and effort of literally 100 people, all the riders, all the people who slaved away in the edit,
takes so long to process these things. This definitely wouldn't be anything without everyone else. So,
indeed, salute to all of them. Thank you so much, Nico, for joining us halfway around the world, brother.
Thanks, guys. Of course, my pleasure.
Happiest birthday to you. Stay well. Be safe.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Lando.
One more thing, real quick, into the camera.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yes.
Let's do it.
everything is still tracking towards us doing a first ever natural selection tour next winter. So that is what's next. That is coming, and I appreciate you throwing that out, Nico. Reigning champion, I think.
Thank you.
Reigning second place, yeah, reigning champ.
Yeah.
Full vibes for that to happen. Everybody watching around the world, set your intention for that to be a reality, please. Thanks to our crew, all of our crew behind the scenes that somehow got all of us from Costa Rica to Locks to Alaska to Jackson to San Diego and Hawaii to be able to coordinate and do this together. They've worked super hard. The technical stuff that we've had to do to rehearse just to make this happen. It really speaks to the team at Red Bull TV that they were able to make this happen with as few glitches. Relatively speaking, we did fairly well.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
Later, guys.
Dank
Thanks,
vielmals.
Trap.
Grazie, Fetch. Tschüss zusammen.
Hasta lasagna. Don't get any on ya.
That's a wrap.
Oh, wrap that. Frickin' Christmas.